Dr. Harper?
Yeah, Remington?
Yes.
Hey, Remington. Nice to see you, meet you in person. Glad that we could do this. Won't take up too much of your time, so.
Well, there's no one here. There's usually no one here during the day.
Okay.
So,
Well, we'll go ahead and just.
want to borrow the table?
You know what? Perfect. That'd be perfect. That's great. How's your day going so far, Remington?
Not doing much, just programming.
Oh, programming. Awesome. So, a software developer or?
TI-89.
Okay. Awesome. I don't know what that is, but it sounds really cool.
Thanks.
Alright. Just get this here. Okay, Remington. So before we get started, I'm just going to go ahead and gotta read some of this stuff. I think you may have been through this before, so some of it might seem familiar to you. So I'm Dr. Harper, I'm a psychologist. And we're meeting today because the judge in your legal case, they want to know if you're competent to proceed with your legal case. Competent basically means that you have a basic understanding of the legal system and how it works, and you can work productively with an attorney. This interview is for your legal case, not for therapy or a program, and my role is simply as an evaluator, not a therapist. I'm just here to evaluate you. What you say during this evaluation can't be used against you unless you want to bring it up. If you tell me something that makes me concerned for your welfare or the welfare of others, I'll have to tell the proper authorities. So you do have the right to decline this evaluation, but I still have to write a report and submit it to the court, and the judge and the prosecuting attorney will be notified, as well as your attorney. But essentially this report is just going to the judge, your attorney, and the prosecuting attorney. Are you ready to begin?
I don't see the point of this. The judge already said, you are incompetent. We are giving you a defense attorney no matter what. And they didn't let me speak up for myself. They said, you can't speak for yourself in court. You got to stop testifying against us. Stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry to hear that. That's something that I think is kind of confusing. They want to be able to just get a better feel for kind of what's going on. And so that's kind of the best way to move forward is to go ahead and do this.
They're just taking advantage of me. They want me to look incompetent.
Okay. Well, Remington, I want to try to, honestly, this is for you. I want to make sure that I give the court the most accurate description of kind of how you are and what's going on.
Okay.
So are you okay if we do that?
Sure. You should read my 18 pages on police corruption before you proceed.
Police corruption. Tell me a little bit more about that.
So the police have broken every crime, told me to never do good, never help people out ever again. And they've tried to kill me, they've tried to false incriminate me with evidence, they've tried about everything.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, okay. And they've purposely tried to incriminate you, is that right?
Yeah, because of these 18 pages I keep testifying everyone about.
Really?
I keep offering people money to get a news reporter, and no one has been able to get a news reporter. They met me at the news station and kicked me out, personally. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, okay, I'm sorry to hear that. And let's see, Remington, I'm just trying to quick look here. Are you currently taking any medications right now, Remington?
They're forcing me on meds.
Okay, what medications are those?
It's called Invega-Sustenna.
Okay.
It's a schizophrenic shot.
Okay. And how do you feel like that's been for you since you've been taking it?
It has no effect on me. I'm not incompetent.
Okay.
I'm not schizophrenic. I mean, both, I guess.
Okay. And I hope that today we'll be able to show the court that you are perhaps competent. And so I just need to go ahead and know, Remington, a little bit more about what you've been charged with. Do you know what you've been charged with?
Yeah, they got false charges against me.
Okay, what are they?
One was texting a girl after I've been blocked, changing my phone number, stalking her, they said I went by her workplace every day, and I didn't.
Okay.
I worked next door, so that is obviously a discrepancy.
Mm-hmm.
I could have gone by her workplace every day, and I didn't.
Okay. So stalking. Looks like I'm seeing a couple other charges as well. Do you know what those ones are?
There's What else was there?
There's failure to stop the command of the police officer.
He said I could go.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it looks like there's failure to disclose identity as well.
I had my freaking name badge on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I told him my name.
Okay, yeah. And the stalking charge, do you know what class of charge that is?
It's misdemeanor A.
Okay, and do you know what the failure to stop the command of a police officer is?
No.
So that
It's a misdemeanor.
And that one does look like it is a, let's see here, a misdemeanor, class A misdemeanor. And then the third charge, failure to disclose identity. Do you know what that one is?
It's a misdemeanor.
That's right. Do you know what class of misdemeanor?
No.
It's a class B misdemeanor. And let's see here. Okay, I'm just gonna say. And tell me a little bit more about what they're accusing you of doing, Remington.
Harassing a girl.
Okay. And Remington, do you feel like these charges are
Valid?
serious or not serious?
They're not valid, so.
But let's say that they were valid, even if they're not. If you don't feel that they're valid, the charges. Do you feel like they're serious or not serious?
They're pretty serious. Charges are serious to me.
Okay. Can you tell me why?
It means you've been offending the law with a crime.
Yeah.
Which the police have done plenty of times.
Yeah. And do you feel a felony or a misdemeanor is more serious?
A felony is more serious.
Okay. Can you tell me why?
It's graver charges, it's graver actions, it's graver consequences.
Okay.
Like greater fines, greater time in prison.
And can you tell me, did they arrest you, Remington?
Yes.
Okay. And how did you get arrested?
I was in between my place and her place.
Okay. Do you know when you got arrested?
The 8th of February, Saturday.
Okay. And did you say anything to the police at the time that you got arrested?
Yeah, I just wanted to know who she was.
Okay.
They wouldn't tell me who she was. I was wondering if she was a specific person from my past, and they wouldn't answer me.
Right. And so with the charges that they're saying that you have, do you know what kind of penalties people can get if they've committed those types of charges?
A year in jail.
Okay. So it looks like
for a misdemeanor A.
Yeah, misdemeanor A. That's right. Let's see. Any other penalties you might get? Or that you're maybe aware of you might get?
Well, there's other possible penalties of paying a fine. There's penalties of doing public service. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. And which kind of punishment do you think is better, being in prison or being on probation?
Probation is better.
Can you tell me why?
You're not locked up. You're more free.
What do you feel like are some of the disadvantages of being in prison?
Being on with the wrong crowd. It goes on your record. People might not want to hire you for work.
Yeah, not a whole lot of good things can come from that, right? And Remington, what do you feel like is your understanding of the judge's job at a trial? What does the judge do?
Well, they're supposed to guide the court. Supposed to make it fair for the defendant. They have not made it fair for me.
Okay.
And they're supposed to help a jury conclude whether it's like they do a sentencing if you're guilty.
And at a trial, is a judge supposed to take sides, or are they supposed to remain neutral?
You're supposed to remain neutral. But this one is obviously not, just like the last one.
Okay. And what do you feel is the purpose of a trial, Remington?
To see whether the defendant is guilty or not guilty. There's other exceptions as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Insane.
Yeah. And what's your understanding of the prosecutor's job?
to try and press the defendant to guilty charges for being guilty if he's found guilty.
Yeah.
Maximum charges.
Yeah. That's right. And so is the prosecutor typically for you or against you?
Against.
That's right. And do you know what a witness does at a trial?
They get provide testimony. There's different kinds of witnesses.
Yeah. And what does a jury do?
They determine whether you're guilty or not guilty.
Sorry, I'm just writing some of this down, okay? And how do they do that? How do they come to that conclusion?
They talk about the evidences that are brought up, the testimonies. Come to a conclusion. Maybe a vote. If they can't all conclude the same thing.
Yeah. What do you feel like is, what does a plea of guilty and not guilty mean, Remington?
Guilty means you accept the charges and you say that you've done the crime. Not guilty means you haven't done the crime, you do not accept the charges.
Sorry, we're blowing through this, my friend. It's not a bad thing, though. That's okay. That's a good thing. Let's see here.
And because of all these discrepancies, I'm playing not guilty.
Okay. You're pleading not guilty. Okay. And who is your attorney?
I've been assigned one. I don't know who she is.
Don't know who she is? Okay. And let's see here. Is your attorney supposed to be for you or against you?
For me.
Uh-huh. And are they working typically at a trial? Are they working for the maximum or minimum sentence at a trial if you're found guilty?
Minimum.
And at a trial, are they typically working for a guilty or not guilty verdict?
Working for not guilty that's what sometimes they'll help me do a plea deal.
Yeah, we do a plea deal. And what do you feel like is typically just, someone would ask, what's your attorney's job? How would you respond to them, Remington?
Defend me in court.
Yeah. What do you want your attorney to do for you in this case, Remington?
Stand up for me, stand against the charges, present my evidences.
Okay.
Let's see, like my name tag. I was going to work
Yeah.
right after I was arrested. I was going to work, but I was arrested instead, so I had my name tag and everything on.
Okay.
So they could dispute some of these charges.
Right. So you told me some of the evidence that you can use to challenge the charges. You had your name tag.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
Their body cams will show that they got my name. They said I could go.
Okay. And do you feel like there's anything your attorney should be doing that they're not doing for you in your case?
She's not saying that I'm competent. That's what the last one did too. I got evaluators to judge me. They both said I was competent. But then I was declared, you are incompetent. We're cutting you out of here and putting you in the Utah State Hospital.
And the evaluators actually said that you were competent.
Yeah, they told me.
Do you remember who those evaluators were?
I wrote down their names.
Okay.
It's part of my 18 pages on researchgate.net. It's called Police Corruption 50 Sins.
Okay.
I think you need a school account, at least in the past.
Okay.
That way you could it's a scholarly website for those with school accounts.
Okay. And what do you feel like is the most important thing to tell your attorney about your case so they can do the best job they can do?
I have evidence supporting my side.
Okay. Yeah. And what can you tell me that that happened when you got arrested that maybe isn't in the police report? Because here, can I read this to you real quick? This is kind of what
I read the report.
you did. Okay.
Yeah.
This is basically what I have. They say, let's see here. So defendant met individual when she came to Springville Wendy's restaurant where he worked. Defendant gave coupons and business card telling her he could get her more things. After that, defendant sent multiple text messages to this individual telling her she was his wife and he wanted to get her pregnant and mentioning other sexual conduct. Individual told defendant her age and that his behavior was not okay and blocked his phone number. Defendant got a new phone number to be contacting this individual. Every day beginning such and such came to the Springville
Yeah, I read
Wendy's.
this. So what are you highlighting or emphasizing towards me?
That's what I'm asking you. Is just does any of that kind of ring a bell at all, or?
I'm telling you that this is discrepancy. This is false charges.
Okay.
There's no new phone number. There's the free things.
Yeah.
All she had to do was make a purchase, and I gave this to her coworkers as well.
Okay.
And she only heard that I wanted her to be my wife. I never called her my wife.
Okay. Okay. Let's see.
There's so many discrepancies in this thing.
Was stopped for us at that point. Okay. Yeah. It said that police told him to stop, but he continued walking away, and then the defendant was stopped and arrested at that point. But you said that they told you could leave. Is that right?
Yeah.
Once they saw your name badge.
No, this was. They said I could leave. I don't know when they saw the name badge, but I had the name badge on.
Right.
I took a freaking picture of myself at the time and a picture of them.
Okay. And Remington, can you give me a list, even though if you don't agree with it, right? Can you give me a list of some of the evidence that they might say they have against you?
Yeah, police body cams.
Okay.
Testimonies of the officers. Testimonies of her co-workers.
Okay. So at some point, you're going to have to make a decision, right, about whether you want to maybe go to a trial or take a plea deal. Have you made a decision about what you might want to try and do?
Not guilty.
Not guilty. Okay. And, okay. Let's see here. Give me a second. And so, in talking about a plea agreement or like a plea deal, can you tell me what that is, Remington?
It's where you compromise, you accept the charges, you take a lesser fine or lesser time in jail.
Yeah.
Or you plead no contest, and if you don't want to plead guilty, and you accept the consequences.
Right, okay. And when you're trying to make a decision about all of this, it sounds like you already have kind of made a decision, but when you're trying to kind of talk about how to strategize, how to move forward with this, who's the best person to talk to, typically?
Typically, your defending lawyer.
Okay.
Yeah. Attorney.
Yeah. And let's see here. What might you do if you and your attorney kind of have maybe a little disagreement, or there's maybe you guys gonna have a little bit of a miscommunication? How might you handle that?
Last time, my defense attorney didn't even represent me. He called me incompetent when the evaluator said I was competent, and they just threw me in the mental hospital anyway. So I don't really understand the best way to help with that attorney. It's best to not talk with him at all, because he even conspired with the prosecutor against me.
Okay. And let me see here. I'm just trying to pull this out and just take a quick look. Does your attorney's name? Let's see here. I'm just trying to. Yeah, I'm not seeing it come up here. Here we go. Taylor Whitby? Taylor Whitby, does that sound familiar at all?
She's supposed to be a girl. I don't know if Taylor's a boy or a girl's name.
Oh, so you haven't, it sounds like you haven't really talked with her, right?
Nope.
Okay. Yeah, well, let's see here. So, if you do have a disagreement though, Remington, just as far as just trying to kind of work through that, how would you try to work through that with your attorney? Let's say she says, I think you should take a plea deal, and you say, I really kind of want to try to go to trial, and she kind of
tries to refute it.
yeah, how much you handle that?
I try to refute back.
Okay.
The testimonies are strong on my side.
Okay. And when you're in court, Remington, and you're unsure about what's happening or you have questions, who's the best person to talk to?
It's supposed to be your attorney, defense attorney.
That's right. And what can happen to a defendant who acts up in court, starts yelling at the judge, starts screaming at the judge? What might happen to them?
They'll be called incompetent, unable to stand trial. But I was defending myself. They were just calling me incompetent for no reason. Okay. I was calling out the cops who were corrupt. The judge was just defending the cops for no reason.
Okay.
And then she said, I was incompetent, and we're going to evaluate you, which is stupid and backwards. Okay. They're just going to do the same thing again. They're not going to include the evaluations. They're just going to call me incompetent again.
Okay. Well, do you feel like you have any concerns about your ability to act appropriately in court?
I don't have concerns about how I act, but they're obviously doing the same things again as last time, not giving me a chance to stand up for myself.
Right.
Going against my evaluators anyway.
Yeah.
Makes me angry.
Right.
How am I supposed to go? They won't let me go to the news.
Right.
They won't let me go to people.
Yeah. Okay. And
church was against me before. They wouldn't help me.
Okay. Let's see, just 1 second. So let's say that the prosecutor wanted to talk with you alone without your attorney. Do you feel like that would be wise?
That wouldn't be appropriate.
Tell me why.
They might try to get information from me they'll try to make relevant. They'll take advantage of me.
That could happen. They could try to do that. So I'm gonna ask you a question. This is kind of a bigger one here, but let's say that your attorney comes to you. They say, "Hey, Remington, we've got a plea deal. You have to admit to some of the charges, but you don't have to go to jail. You have to be on parole. You could end up, having the charges reduced and dropped after a period of time, or you can go to trial, and we might have about an 80% chance of winning." Tell me the pros and cons of both of those decisions, Remington.
Well, the pro is with an 80% chance of winning, that's really high, so you would want to go to trial. But if the case you lose, you won't have those benefits of less time in jail or dropping the charges.
Yeah, so hold on here. So pro of going to trial is you got a high chance of winning.
Yes.
Charges get dropped. What's a potential drawback of going to trial?
If you lose, you could face the charges. You might have to spend time in jail.
Yeah. And let's talk about a plea deal. What's a pro of the plea deal?
The plea deal means less risk, but less charges than if you would lose.
Less charges. But what's kind of a con, sort of a drawback of the plea deal?
The con of a plea deal?
Yeah.
You don't get to have you don't get to win in court.
There's another drawback to taking a plea deal. What do you think that might be?
The drawback to a plea deal?
Yeah.
You get charges.
You still get charges, right? You still have to admit to some charges. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes. Sometimes you get no contest, so you don't plead guilty.
Yeah. Yeah. And let's see here. So just briefly, I want you to pretend I don't know anything about your case, Remington. I want you to, in maybe 2 minutes, just walk me through the steps of what happened that got you the charges.
I was nearby Kylie's work.
Mm-hmm.
They don't like me.
Okay.
Cops don't like me, period. So that's without a dispute.
Okay.
I have testimonies and evidences that
Yeah.
I didn't do anything wrong.
But and I'm not saying that I don't believe you, but what are they telling? What are they telling? What happened? What are they saying that you did? How are they explaining what you did?
They said I stalked her. I went to her every day, and I texted her inappropriate things, and kept texting her from different numbers.
Okay.
They say I tried to run away without even giving them my name. That's 2 more charges in one sentence.
Okay. Okay. And the evidence, do they have those text messages that you sent to this individual? Or
I don't know if they have the text. I have the text.
you have the text that you sent to her?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And so let's think a little bit more about this, Ramita. We're almost down here. Sorry, a lot of papers here. Hold on one sec. Okay. And did you say that you're currently taking medication? Is that right?
Yeah, they're forcing me on medication to look incompetent and schizophrenic.
When did they start giving that to you?
Like when they first forced me into USH.
Utah State Hospital? Okay.
Yeah. After a couple months, they forced me on that medication.
And do you know how long ago that was?
It was around 2019.
2019. Okay.
2018, 2019, somewhere between there.
Do you know when your last shot was that they gave you?
They gave me some more shots around the 7th.
Of April?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I want to ask you some basic questions here, Remington. Can you just tell me your full name and age?
Remington W. Hayhu, and 37 years old.
Okay. And what year is it, Remington?
2025.
Okay. And what's the season right now?
Spring.
Okay. And the month?
April.
Okay. And what state are we in?
We're in a state of denial. Utah.
That's right. And what did you eat for breakfast this morning?
Honey Nut Cheerios.
Okay. Okay. And what did you do for your last birthday?
I spent my time in jail.
Okay.
So nothing.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you to remember 3 words, and I just want you to hold them in your memory, okay? Cherry quarter carpet. Just kind of hold them in your memory, and I'm going to ask you to repeat some numbers for me, okay? Can you just repeat 4, 6,
4, 6,
7, 2, 5,
7, 2, 5,
9, 2, 3, 8.
9, 2, 3, 8.
Okay, and what were those 3 words I wanted you to remember?
Cherry quarter carpet.
Carpet. Okay, and how well do you feel like your mind is working these days, Remington?
Pretty good.
Okay.
I do jokes and riddles every day on TikTok.
How's your mood been? Do you feel
Pretty good. I've been doing those not with a negative attitude. I've been selling them. People really like them.
okay? And do you currently have any thoughts of hurting yourself or hurting others?
Nope.
Okay. And Remington, I know this question kind of sounds silly. We ask it to everybody, but do you have any kind of thought, hearing things or seeing things that other people can't hear or see, anything like that?
Nope.
Okay. Okay. And tell me your birth date, please.
2/24/88.
488. Okay. And where were you born?
California.
California. Okay.
Santa Clara County.
Who was in your household growing up? Mom, dad, siblings?
Mom, siblings.
dad in the house at all?
We visited him twice a month
Okay.
on weekends.
So mom and dad were divorced then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How's your relationship with your mom and your siblings?
Pretty good.
Okay. Okay.
There's some stuff I would dispute.
Okay. All right. And can you tell me a little bit about your educational history? How were things in elementary school, middle school, high school for you?
So we moved around once per year. So I went to 3 different elementary schools, and I went back and forth between 2 of them twice. Middle school, I went to 3 different middle schools, but I went to 1 high school, even though we still moved around.
Yeah.
I got 5 on my AP Calc BC test and started taking college classes during my senior year at high school.
That's impressive.
Took lots of AP classes.
Okay.
Still have my AP scores.
That's awesome. Did you graduate high school?
Yes, I went to Fresno State and BYU Idaho.
Oh, awesome.
I could have picked up a degree with all the credits that I had, but I switched my major, and so I couldn't.
Okay, so you went to some college but didn't graduate college, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And tell me about some of the jobs that you've had in the past.
I've had so many different jobs. I've had construction, deliveries, excuse me.
You're fine.
Sales, customer service.
Yeah.
Restaurant working, lots of dishwashing.
Okay. And did you, where do you currently work right now?
I work just here at Wendy's.
Oh, Wendy's, awesome. Okay, and do you do, what do you do there?
Everything except for manager.
Everything except for manager. Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. And how do you like working there?
It's great.
Okay.
Wish they'd make me a manager.
Currently employed right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Going there after this.
Nice. And what do your good relationships with your supervisors and?
Yeah, I have a great relationship with my supervisor. He wants to give me more hours for all the work that I do.
Okay. And are you currently married right now?
Single.
Single? Okay.
Never been.
Okay, no children?
Mm-mm.
Okay. And Remington, any kind of drug use at all in the past?
Never.
Never, okay.
No alcohol.
Okay. Okay. Any kind of medical problems at all, or any sort of issues with your body, anything like that? Diabetes or
Nope.
anything like that? Okay. Tell me a little bit about your mental health history. Any kind of mental health conditions, depression, anxiety, other mental health conditions? You said you were at Utah State Hospital. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, the cops said I was incompetent, so I was forced there, forced on schizophrenic meds.
Okay. Okay. And
forced on other meds that made me fat and made me throw up.
Okay. Okay. And are you currently in therapy at all?
I'm not in therapy, no.
Okay.
Just seeing a once a month shot.
Okay. Do you go see a psychiatrist for that once a month?
No.
No, you just have it at your house.
No, I go to this place at
Utah State Hospital.
No.
Oh.
It's Wasatch.
Okay.
On 750 Freedom.
Okay, I see. Just writing that down. And what's the name of that medication again?
Invega Sustena.
Okay.
Invega's one word. Sustena.
Okay, that's every month.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it sounds like I read some of the records, Remington. It looks like when you went to the Utah State Hospital, it looks like there was maybe some you definitely didn't want to be there, right? It looks like they said that you were kind of resistant to treatment. Does that sound accurate at all?
I was resistant to them. Every week I had a full 1 to 2 pages of either full 1 or past it of stuff they were doing that's hypocritical and mistreating of patients, and they were breaking rules that we weren't allowed to do.
Okay.
I was getting sick because of it. Literally, like my nose was just getting stuffed. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't sleep.
Okay. And so you haven't met with your attorney that's been assigned to you right now, is that right?
No.
Okay. And any kind of depression or anxiety, anything like that?
Nope.
No? And any other kind of convictions or legal history in the past at all?
Just similar stuff like girls,
Okay.
cops calling me corrupt.
Okay. Okay, Remington. Just see here. Hold on. Remington, I gotta tell you, I don't really get the impression that you're incompetent.
Thank you.
I'm gonna try to make sure that I convey that in my report. If you were, kind of psychotic, hearing voices, seeing things, or delusional, I think that you're saying that the police are corrupt, and obviously that's a personally held belief.
Mm-hmm.
And some people might say that's delusional, Remington, but if it's not interfering with your ability to proceed with your legal case, then it doesn't stand in the way of your competence. If that's all you wanted to talk with your attorney about is the judge is in on it, all this, and your attorney's like, gosh, I understand, but we gotta help you get through this. But all you wanted to talk about was like the pages that you wrote and stuff. They might kind of think, I think this guy might not be competent because he's kind of acting delusional, like he just can't talk about how to move forward with his case or whatever it might be. They might think that, but I don't get the impression that you're doing that. At least with me, you mentioned that. Does that sound accurate to you at all?
Yes.
Okay. You've been very cooperative with me. It seems you've been very transparent with me, Remington. And yeah, it sounds like you even let's say that I know you don't agree with the medication, right? But even if they're trying to make an argument that you're not competent, you're on the medication, which really shows that you're trying to participate. Even though they're forcing you to do it, you're still taking the shot. And I'm not seeing any symptoms of really severe your psychological conditions.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. I guess there's a couple last things here, Remington. If you were to testify at a trial, what would you want to try to share with the jury?
I'd have them read my 18 pages.
Okay.
Print out copies for them.
Okay. And that's just the 18 pages again is how the police officers kind of directly targeted you. Is that right?
Yeah, they directly targeted me over and over.
Okay. Is there anything else in those 18 pages that you wrote?
I report other people's crimes. They do nothing about them.
Okay.
It shows that they're supporting them.
Okay. And do you know what happens if you decide to? If let's say that you plead, how do you go to trial? What would you have to do to go to trial? What would you have to plead to go to trial?
Not guilty.
That's right. Mm-hmm. That's right. Okay, Remington, and it sounds like, let's see here. It sounds like there is. I'm just trying to check my notes here on my phone real quick. One second here. Let's see, just one second. Sorry, I'm just reading this here. So it looks like your attorney said it looks like Taylor has met with you. I don't know if Taylor is a man or a woman though, but it looks like you told your attorney that you successfully represented yourself in the past and wanted to do it again.
Yeah.
Despite there being no record of you ever representing yourself before. Does that sound familiar to you at all?
No, I said I would present these records and have to acquire them, but I won a case.
You said you won a case?
Yeah, I told them I won a case. They're like, we don't believe you. What was the case? And they never even looked it up.
Okay. So he's saying that he tried to, or your attorney, whether it's a man or a woman, tried to, but they couldn't.
It wasn't here in Utah County.
Oh, it was some other. Well,
Yeah.
What was that at?
Salt Lake City County, Salt Lake County.
Okay. Let's see here, just 1 second. Okay. All right. Okay. Just looking at this. Hold on here. Okay. And it said that you were civilly committed. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. It looks like they said, hold on here, civilly committed to the Northwest unit of the hospital for, it looks like you were there, was it for a year you were there at the hospital?
So this happened twice.
Okay.
So I don't know which time they're talking about.
Okay.
But yes.
Okay. And can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Let's see. It happened in 2014. It happened in 2018.
Okay. And let's see here. Okay. All right. And so it sounds like you. Do you remember talking with your attorney though, Remington?
That attorney?
Uh-huh.
I still have his name down on my 18 pages, as well as the girl who took the competency evaluations.
Do you have that in your apartment, or is there a way you could find that?
Do you want the names, or do you want me to email you the...
If you could give me the names of the evaluators, that would be helpful as well.
I'll have to email it to you.
You could actually just send it to that phone number.
I don't see it on here right now.
Okay, that's okay. That's all right. So it sounds like, Remington, you want to try to. Whoops.
I have paper documentation, and I have it on that internet site, but it takes a while to pull up, and you have to, if you don't have an account, you have to download it manually.
Okay, and tell me a little bit more about. So if you were to have a trial, right? I think I need to know a little bit more about these 18 pages. Tell me a little bit more about what they are.
So I start off with the smallest ones, usually the ones in that jail. Like, they're mistreating the pregnant women, they're mistreating me, they wouldn't give me my Christmas dinner, they're mistreating the suicidal, they're screaming at him with the Christmas music playing on, which is on a radio, which is you have to manually turn on and off. They could have turned it off. Right. It's not like it was jail music, and there's no such thing as jail music. Right. So it starts off with smaller things like that. It goes to greater and greater things, like they're trying to kill me with lethal injections. Okay. They try to deny me my freedom of speech. I'm offering people money to prove to me that they know the cops are corrupt by trying to get a news reporter. That's one of the... So the cops said they wouldn't take my money, and they approached me and said, if you don't stop, we'll arrest you. Right. Probably would have led to another attempted killing. Anyway, they attempted to kill me last time I was in jail. Okay. What else? The worst one was when they met me at that news station. I was getting a job at Burger King in Taylorsville, which is Salt Lake City County, Salt Lake County. And so I ate some bad food. I had to go to the hospital. Instead of delivering me next door, they take me to St. Mark's, a jail hospital. Okay. I haven't even been in jail. So they were taking me straight from Burger King to a jail hospital. And then that's when they try to lethally inject me. They got me 2 competency evaluations, both trying to get me proving that I'm incompetent, but I proved that they were both incompetent. So their words were twisted against them. And the second time I got a witness, and so they couldn't do a third one, they couldn't deny it. And after all these weird situations, it's in the story.
Do you have the 18 pages digitally?
Yes, it's on researchgate.net.
Researchgate.net. You know what, let me try to go ahead and look that up. Do you happen to have like a link you could send me to the phone number that I called you on? Or?
Yeah, I can. All right. That's not the link, but it's pretty close. Let me see if I can look up the link really quick. Let's see. It would be right here. I have the ResearchGate app. All right, let's go to research. Share full text or share URL. If I share the full text, it might.
Try the link first. Try the link first.
There it says deliver.
I just saw you sent it.
And it has a picture, so it shows that it's all there. Whenever people click on it, it says you're not allowed to view this page, except for me. Really? For some reason, it's like the police have sabotaged my phone, so I don't know people aren't allowed to read it. But when I was at the hospital, they told me, hey, I'm not allowed to read this.
Yeah, it looks like download. See if I can download this real quick. You wrote this in 2017, is that right?
I wrote this in the end of 2017, the beginning of 2018. It's my letter to the judge. Are you reading it?
I'm just looking at some of it here.
Oh, you got to see it then.
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
That's interesting that other people weren't able to, but you are.
And so it sounds like you feel that the charges you have now are a direct result, basically, of because the police are actually corrupt.
Yes.
Because they're targeting you.
Yes.
Okay.
And I asked them to have her bring her to court, and we'll dispute everything, and I'll show my phone, and that everything is, all the texts are mine, and I didn't change phone numbers, and etc.
Yeah. Well, I think that
we had a healthy friendship. We were talking and stuff, so it never would seem like she would press charges.
Right.
It seems like her employees pressed charges because they didn't want us to be together, and the cops were corrupt, so they just teamed up against me.
Right. And you talked a little bit about how you feel the judge might kind of be playing a role. Do you feel like that?
I don't know if they're playing a role or if they're just being threatened or bribed or both.
But you feel like the judge is kind of against you in a way, perhaps.
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
Tell me a little bit more about that.
I think she's biased because she's following the threats of the cops.
Okay.
If you're being threatened by the cops for your life or your family's life or something, what would you do? Well, you don't have to answer that.
Yeah.
It's just a rhetorical.
So she's kind of being threatened by the cops because
of all their corruption.
Okay. Why are they targeting you?
There's no beginning. They just always targeted me.
Okay. And it just seems like that's how it's been. And it sounds like you feel like maybe your attorney could be also. Do you feel like your attorney or the prosecutor could be kind of working a bit of an angle, for lack of a better term?
My defense attorney was working an angle last time.
Okay.
He went to work for me. He conspired with the prosecutor against me. He admitted, the competency evaluator admitted he did.
Really?
Yeah, I can't remember her name, but she's in there.
So it could be working an angle against you, and
The competency evaluator admitted to it last time.
really,
Yeah.
that your defense attorney was.
Yeah, conspiring with the prosecutor
Are you serious?
against me. Yeah.
Wow. I'm just writing some of this down here, okay?
If you ever find her information, maybe she'll remember me from 2017, is the end of 2017, beginning of 2018. I was arrested in November 2017, started writing it in like December.
Yeah.
I carried on for a month of writing, and then
So it sounds like the judge
went to the hospital at 18.
could be kind of. Would you say the judge is conspiring against you? Could be.
Could be, because I don't know if he's being bribed or threatened.
Okay. Okay.
But this all trails back to the Salt Lake City cops, and they're the ones who are the boss. These Utah County cops are just working for them.
Really, is the Salt Lake County cops that are
They're the
boss?
focus boss, yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about that.
The news won't do anything to help me. Every time I approach them, they're like, we don't care. Or we've got police here, so we can't help you.
And did the Salt Lake County cops control any other state cops at all aside from Utah County?
Weber County.
Okay. Do you feel like the cops are not just? Where else do you feel like the cops are kind of making an influence? Could it be in other, maybe government?
This could be
governor. Tell me a bit more about that.
This could be U.S. wide.
Okay.
This could be in and out of states.
Okay. With just the Salt Lake cops or other cops?
I don't know, even just with them. So I think the SLC cops might be working with cops from out of state.
Oh, okay.
Making them corrupt too. It's just a possibility. I haven't proved that much.
Yeah. Okay. And sorry, forgive me here. And it sounds like if you were to tell the jury, sorry, you have work at 4, is that right?
No, I should leave by 4:15.
4. Okay, perfect. Okay, we're almost done. It sounds like if you were to talk with the jury about what you wanted to share about this case, you would want to share with them that the police are corrupt.
Yes.
In a way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that they're intentionally targeting you.
That's correct.
Okay. So I'm not saying I disagree with you, Remington, but I do kind of want to know a little bit more about what is it that you think that why do you think they're trying to target you?
Because I'm upright and because we're opposites.
Okay.
If I can fall, that means they can rise.
Okay.
But if I don't fall, they're all gonna fall.
Okay. And what if your attorney said, Remington, the police aren't after you. They're not trying to intentionally target you. the crimes that you've been charged with are
Valid.
valid, how would you respond to that?
I have evidence against that. I have evidence against the cops. So both of those are false.
Okay.
And the police have tried to erase my evidence in the past. They've gone on my phone and erased video recordings of them.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Just writing this down.
I had 2 recordings. One of them throwing me up against the front of the Provo police station for no reason. I recorded that and they deleted it. One of the officers making fun of me. They deleted that at the same time because they had the phone.
Okay. What are some other ways you feel like the cops are against you?
I just know spiritually, socially.
Tell me how spiritually and socially.
Socially, they want me to be disproven. They want me to be corrupt. They want me to be false. They want me to not be a light anymore.
Okay.
And then spiritually, they don't want me to be righteous mind framed.
Okay. So if you're trying to talk with your attorney about all this, and she's like, or he, depending on who it is, like, hey, I think we should do X, Y, or Z. It sounds like you would really want the court to know that the judge might be corrupt, that the cops are corrupt. Mm-hmm. Is that kind of what you would want the jury to know?
Yes, indeed.
Okay. You're fine. Just write something down. Remington, sorry. Is there anything else you want me to know about what you're going through, or any other things about kind of the inside thing with the cops? Anything else that you think would be helpful for me to share?
I have to write a second story.
Mm-hmm.
What's happened this last time? This whole case.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll be resolved and it'll be a happy story with a happy ending, but we don't know. I probably shouldn't wait to record this whole thing.
Okay. Can you give me any other evidence that might show you that the judge is kind of trying to conspire against you a little bit?
She met me first off when there was no other people around. Then she met with me when a bunch of other inmates were around and they were all agreeing with me.
Okay.
Like, you can feel I was right in the room.
Yeah.
They wanted to fight for me.
Okay.
I became friends with a lot of them in the past, half an hour that we were talking together. I told them, I know very little Spanish, just 2 jokes.
Okay.
I told them the 2 jokes because I was sitting next to Spanish people.
Yeah.
They really liked it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
but more specifically though, how was the judge? What other ways do you think the judge might try to be against you that you're kind of sharing with me?
So, she doesn't listen to me.
Okay.
At all. She just screams at me.
The judge does?
Yeah.
Okay.
She gets really irate, and you're not supposed to be irate, you're supposed to be balanced.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
I just wanted to stand up for myself, and they were saying, we're not going to let you stand up for yourself, and you're incompetent. We're not going to hear from you. We're going to assign you a defense attorney, and then we're going to give you some evaluations.
Okay. And I think I remember you saying that your previous attorney was conspiring against you with the prosecutor. Is that right?
Yeah.
Tell me a bit more about that.
It's all in that 18 pages.
18 pages, okay.
You can download it so it's easier to read, because it's hard to read
yeah.
without it.
Okay, okay. Well, you know, Remington, I think I've got just about everything that I need here. You know what? I think that's about it. Um, so I will make sure we go ahead and wrap this up. You know, Remington, you've been very respectful to me. I appreciate your time. I'll make sure I go ahead and read some of that report. Again, I hate to say this, but I can't guarantee an opinion. I have to kind of go through a lot of different data to kind of make a determination about, you know, competency, competent, not competent.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time for me to kind of come up with that. And so it's gonna take me a little bit of work to kind of write the report and kind of get that all situated. But that's the reason why, right there. I think. Yep. I appreciate your time, Remington. Okay, and I wish you the best. All right.
Thank you.
So I hope you have a great rest of your